SGC pair. So this movie review is on Chronicle. What is Chronicle? Well, short intro. Bing. Chronicle is Josh Trank's debut film, and I must say, wow for him. He did a pretty good job for a debut film, and I certainly look forward to him in the future, and so should you. This movie for me was really under the radar. I heard about it in terms of a superhero movie, and I was sort of like pushed it off since unconventional superhero films have been really recently. I mean, think of Hancock or My Girlfriend is a Superhero. And color me surprised when I watched the trailer and I seriously wanted to watch this like right away. So storyline. So you essentially have 3 kids. One who has a crappy life and is a loser at school and in life and in all things. The second one is this kid's cousin. So second is one kid cousin. And the third guy is Mr. Popular. And things get out of hand when they slowly realize the full potential of the power that they discovered. Hence, superheroes. For the cast, first we have Dane DeHaan as Andrew Detmer. He's the main protagonist and the losers of all things. This is his first major film role. Maybe you've seen him in True Blood in season 4. His character name was Timbo. Dan's acting here is really genuine. Being a school loser and being abused at home, his depressive nature really showed throughout the film. I mean, you have like, oh, I'm so depressed. But then, like, there are scenes where there are actual moments of joy, and you can see him light up, and it's like so genuine that it's, oh, this kid really is losing it at home and at school because of all the relationship problems that he has. But when he's with these other 3 dudes, he's so happy and stuff. I love the contrast between his depressiveness and his like real joy self. He really brings forth the whole I'm a loser and life sucks Tonello. I mean, especially near the end of the movie. Well, no spoilers here. I do look forward to Dan in the future because, I mean, he has a lot of potential to like bring out other like characters, and it'll be interesting to see what else he has up his sleeve. Next, we have Alex Russell as Matt Gariotti, the cousin. He hasn't been in anything major, so I haven't seen any of his acting. But in terms of acting in The Chronicle, in the beginning, his character doesn't push for much acting in the sense that he's really nonchalant because he's just too cool for everything. But as the story progresses, his acting is believable in terms where he believes that he can do greater things in his life rather than just, I'm too cool, so don't bother me with anything. He has a short love arc, which was done well in terms that it was short enough, but it did have an impact in the rest of the film. Next, we have Michael B. Jordan! Just like doing that commentator voice. As Steve Montgomery, the popular kid. Apparently he was in Red Tails, but that movie was bad enough that I don't remember beyond the 4 people I mentioned in my review, which you can check out here. He doesn't really show the popular side throughout the film, which is nice, as it would be annoying to be constantly reminded that this guy was being elected for school president or whatever. But instead, he's more of like, I'm the rich, cool kid that I'm just hanging out with real friends, because, you know, I'm rich, no one really understands me sort of thing. He doesn't go for that, but then that vibe he sort of brings up. And he's the gung-ho happy kid of the group. He really balanced out the negativity that I missed from Dan's character, and is later on supported by Alex's acting of being positive, which is pretty cool. We have Ashley Hinshaw as Casey Letter. I can't believe her last name is Letter. She's a random girl that I won't ruin how she's connected to these guys, but her scenes were interesting in the sense of how it was filmed, like, because the whole camera mirror scene was pretty intense. I mean, you gotta look out for that. I mean, it's kind of trippy in the sense of, I don't know where I'm supposed to look, like, do I look at the mirror or do I look at here? Her acting is nothing special, but I just named her because she's a chick from the movie, and, you know, it's nice to know that there's a girl in the film. Nitpicks, not that much. Maybe the whole child abuse and crazy father part was dragged on a bit. If it was cut out a bit, I think things would have sped up, and more time could it be for the manifestation of their like potential powers. Some of the fight scenes would have been more impactful if it was filmed in the conventional sense, because I mean, rather than through surveillance cameras. I swear there's this one scene where it was supposed to be serious, but people laughed in the theater because it was all of a sudden there was one camera that was serious sort of thing, and then it cut to a surveillance camera, and then you're like, people start laughing. I mean, it totally ruined the atmosphere in the theater and the scene itself. The usage of the different cameras was good in the sense that, it was sort of a variety. And there's no crazy movement here, unlike Cloverfield, so which is kind of good for people that were like, oh my goodness, I can't stand the movement in Cloverfield. Well, there's not a lot of that in here. However, the whole found footage thing fails in terms of the found part. I mean, the found footage is actually edited by Andrew, Dan's character, throughout the film, but there are other cameras being used, and it's not explained as to why the founders of this footage, which would be us, the audience, have access to a surveillance camera from a bank, for example. I mean, beyond that, they totally got the whole why would the camera be moving around and following me and not being put down thing right on the ball. Like, sort of, the camera's never put down, so that was pretty done well. Overall, it was a well done superhero origin film. I totally recommend it to people who like things out of the ordinary. It's not being pushed as much, so if you're into things that are not mainstream, so check this out for sure, because supporting this sort of film would be excellent, because we can really ramp up the expectation of like hero films and just like films that don't have a huge budget but can do so much more with a limited budget and just knowing when to use stuff. I also recommend to the people that don't like the mainstream superhero stuff that are coming out lately, so check this out because it's a totally different scale. I really like how the actors were cast in the sense of where they weren't A-list people. There was no name to bring audience to the film. This really speaks to the sense of that this film is good in the sense of like you don't need big names to promote it, unlike Red Tails. So it was pretty good that these names aren't known, and I really hope for them in the future that they have more casting and more scenes to do and more audience to impress. Throughout the film, you sort of get the general gist of what's happening, like the kid's getting powers and he's just struggling with it, with what he can do. So like if you've seen the trailers, this doesn't count as a spoiler, so before you actually hear what I have to say, go click in the link and check out this trailer first. So what I'm trying to say is, for the film, I thought about the phrase that Two-Face used in Dark Knight. The phrase where it goes, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become villain. This is pretty essentially the entire movie, and you get the whole vibe of like, why is this happening? Like, what's going on? Like, how would this end? My score, totally getting this on home entertainment, Blu-ray, DVD, whatever, when it comes out. This movie was a total blast. So yeah, that was my movie on the Chronicle. So remember, like it, subscribe, new videos on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday.